Secondly, Anti-Pelagianism. We need to be careful here. We need to make a careful distinction theologically at this point between what I would call the content of salvation and the framework of salvation. I would suggest that justification by faith, justification by the imputation of Christ's righteousness to the sinner, refers to the content of salvation. That's how I'm using the term at this point. The content, if you like, is what happens to you as an individual as you move from wrath to grace in the framework, within the sphere of history. The framework of salvation is, if you like, the overall relationship between God and His creation, within which the individual movement of you from wrath to grace takes place. The framework of salvation is that to which I apply the term anti-Pelagian. The Reformers, I think, break pretty decisively with the whole of the medieval tradition on the content of salvation. Justification by faith is something that one doesn't find in that form in the Middle Ages. Justification for the medievals is a development of Augustine's idea of justification, which is where the individual is made righteous. So justification and what we often call sanctification, or perhaps renewal, increased conformity to the likeness of Christ. These things are conflated within the Augustinian framework of the Middle Ages, where justification becomes a process by which you are slowly made more and more righteous. It's not the case in the Reformation. Justification refers to status. The moment you believe, you are justified. You can never be more justified than that. It's like being, it is the equivalent of being guilty or innocent. If you're declared innocent, you can't, go on and do good deeds and become more innocent. It's a status thing. It's not a process. The Reformers break decisively with the medievals on this point. The Reformers are not Augustinian there. The Catholic Church is Augustinian on justification, not the Reformers. But the Reformers do build upon much of the framework of salvation as developed in the Middle Ages. There is a stream of thinking, an often powerful stream of thinking within the theologians of the Middle Ages, particularly the theologians of the later Middle Ages, that is very anti-Pelagian, that has a high view of God's sovereignty, that has a low view of human ability, that has a radical distinction between God as creator and the world and humanity as creations. And it's within that stream that we find continuities with the later Reformation. This is why, if you read your 17th century Puritans and Reformed theologians carefully, you will find them citing people like Thomas Aquinas, Gregory of Rimini, Thomas Bradwardine. The Reformation builds upon the framework of salvation as developed within the Middle Ages. So there is a strong strand there of continuity between the Middle Ages and the Reformation.